Okay, so we were creating a new customer, and then in that new customer, we were also adding a new process to create a new account number for that particular customer, right? So database was ready. Just go ahead and see the database. So the accounts database was ready, and then we have added a process as well. The new So the new customer process was there, and we have integrated the loan process model also in this one. But the loan process model was not completed. It was just forming the data that we need to store into the database, so we can create a loan. So let's go ahead and do this one. This is done by the system. So we create a swim lanes for the uh, system. So say system. And in the assignment, as because this is going to work by the system, there is no user interaction. So what we can do is, just to make sure everything goes okay, we can say that run whoever has designed the process model. So the person who will publish this model, their name will come into the instance that they has initiated this one. That's all. So account data is
No,
ready. Now what? Sorry, for 1 second.
Ravi, could you please come back now? What you said?
Okay, so in these swim lanes, we can put the assignment. In the assignment, if you take this checkbox and the below all nodes in the lane will run as automated activity, because these are running as an automated activity because system is going to execute this process and then create a loan number. Right? There is no user interaction. So what we have done the given the run as whoever designed the process model. So what will happen? This will have the designer access. I mean, the process
Okay.
instance access will have the designer access, and it won't break anywhere. It won't require any permission because this is initiated by the customer, but this particular instance is running by the system, right? So
Okay.
there will be no future issues for the access wise. It will get the data right because designer will have the system admin access.
Okay.
Okay. So we were forming the data, and then now what we need to do is we need to write this data to the database so that the account number gets generated. Okay. So let's go and use the data services. In the data services, we have write to data store entity. So this data store entity smart service is used to write the data from instance to process from process model to the database, right? So we can mention that write to accounts. Okay, so if you guys remember, we have created this data store entity, right? If you go to the data store, we have created this data store entity in the data store LAPDS, and that given the name as a data store and this one LAP accounts, and the name is LAP accounts entity. So if I write that name, right? If I write that name as a LAP accounts entity, the system will not understand what you're trying to pass because it's need an entity. If you go and open this data store smart service, you see within the data tab, it says give me a data store entity where you want to write the data, right? So to do so, what we need to do, we need to create a new constant, and the constant I'll say LAP data store entity accounts. One more thing, constant name should always be in capital. This is a Appian best practice that suggests constant name you should be putting into the all in capitals, I mean separated by underscore. Okay, so this constant.
So basically, Ravi, what we are trying to do here is we are trying to link in between the database and the entity. So we are creating constant.
Correct. So that we can in that smart service we can tell that use this entity. Sorry. Yeah. This constant will hold the data stored entity for accounts table. Okay. The type. Now it says data type, so we say data store entity. Once we select the type data store entity, it will say please select the data store. So our data store name is LAPDS, and within this LAPDS we have two entities, customer and account. So we need to select the accounts. This is done. I'll say create. So this constant is created, which is a type of data stored entity and it holds the account entity. Now let's go back to the process model, and here it says, right, in the write to data store entity smart service, it says give me the entity where you want to write the data. Now what I will do, I will refer the constant cons. So to refer a constant, the revision is cons constant and the name of that constant. Okay, so now this smart service will understand, okay, I have to write the data into this particular table. Now what data needs to write? So we create a new input and we say accounts information, account, or whatever, you just give the name account details. And the type of this account details will be LAP underscore accounts, right? This is the type of this account. And then what data we need to pass? The data that we are forming here. Okay, you see this one, this get account data, right? We are calling a rule, and in that rule we are forming the based on, we are passing the customer ID, and then we are forming this account data, right? If you remember, let me show you. So we are forming this account details, right? And then we are uh, passing it to the process model. So we are storing into the account data CDT process variable that we have created here, right? Account data. If you see the last this session, you will remember account data. Okay. So what we need to do? So here it says data stored entity, pass the data stored entity, and then account details. We need to pass the account data that we have it, and then go to the output and the stored value and save back to the account data. So what will happen by doing so? So whatever the auto increment number it will generate, right? The auto increment number, whatever it will generate, that will get stored into the ID column, because ID we don't know, right? That is auto increment. So that will get stored here. Now, once the IDs get generated, right? So if you see that account, we must also have some reference number. Uh, Accounts. This city we have account ID and account reference as well, right? So we need to do some account reference. So once we generated the ID, we will know what is the account ID now, right? So account ID is like 1 or 2 or 3, 4, whatever the auto increment number. Now let's see what we are doing it for the account reference. We are saying year, month, and 000, and then the number of that, right? So let's go and create a rule for that one. So we'll say expression rule, and we say form account reference number or key. Okay, so this rule will form the reference key for account. Okay, now what do we need to pass here? We need to pass the account ID. So once we pass the account ID that is getting generated, we say account ID. That will be number integer. Okay, based on this account ID, we need to form the account reference number. Okay, so how do we do that? So first of all, let's define a local variable, and then I'll say local. So first of all is the year, right? Local year. So how, and we do not want to hard code it. We want to make it as a dynamic, right? So like for this year, it is generating 2022. Next year, it should be generating 2023, right? So how do we do that? So first of all, let me show you that there is a function called now. Okay, or today. Let's say use today. So once you use a function today, what is the output of this function? Okay, the output of this today function will be the date of today. Okay, so out of this we can fetch the year. So what we can see, if I want to fetch the year, I'll say year function of today. I mean from the today find out the year. Okay, let's see if it is returning the correct value or not. So it should be returning me 2022. So we got this 2022, right? So this is what we needed for our account creation, account reference key. So we need 2022. Now what is next thing we want to get? Can anyone tell me what I need to do here? If I want to get the month.
So basically, you have to give month and brackets. You have to give today, so that it will just derive only the
Exactly.
month.
So these are two functions we are using. Month is a one function, today is another function, right? So now we have let me
Month,
return the month first.
and
So you see
it will
this
give
one,
only month now. You just run month.
it's getting the month, right?
Yeah.
Okay, after that we have to add three more
Yeah.
zeros and then the account ID, right? Now if
Correct.
the month character is like 1, if then we can put 08, right? If it is already 2, then we do not need to do that. So we can put that condition. So let me do first, like what else we need? We first of all we need local bank year. Okay. Now ampersand, I'll say if the local month I'll say is less than 10, right? Then put 0 and then ampersand local month, else local month. Okay, can anyone tell me what I'm doing here? What is the use of this? Why we are doing this one?
So basically, see, you are trying to do means if the month is whatever, say for example, if the month is 9, then it should
Uh-huh.
become as 09. If it is
Uh-huh.
normal 10, then it will take 10.
Okay, so now right now
From
here is
basically
8.
from one, yeah, from like 1 to 9, it will if any month fall under 1 to 9, then it should be print
Hmm.
as a like 01 to 09 like that.
Okay, so now if I test this one, it will say 08, right?
Yeah.
This is what we need. Now if you use this 10, then it will just print the 10. Okay, so what we have done now, we have appended local year first and then ampersand. This is to append the character and then the month. Now if I say the output, it will say 2022 and then 08. It's done. Now what else we need to add? We need to
Same
add
way you have
three
to add the
zeros,
day,
right?
3 zeros for
Three
the day.
zeros. We are not putting the day, right? If you see this one, we are not putting day. We are saying 2022 and then month and then three zeros and
Okay,
then
okay.
number,
It's like a
right?
sequence number you are following. Okay, okay.
Sequence number, you said. So it says year, month, and 000, and then ampersand RI account ID. Now suppose if I pass account ID 5, so the output will be 2022080005. Got it?
Okay.
So this is how we can use the expression rules to manipulate some data and get our output. Okay. So now what we can do, we can call this rule at our process model level. So we can create one script task here, and the name I'll say get update get ref key. Okay, and then here I'll go back and say data output new custom output, and then call that rule. And what is the ID I need to pass? Account ID I need to pass. So I'll say account ID, and this will be in the PV bank account data dot account ID. Okay, and where we need to store? We need to store into the account data dot account reference. So once we get this reference, again we need to perform the same database, right? So it can update. I just copy paste this node here, and I'll just name as update say ref key. So this is same thing, right? We are again hitting the database, but now why it will not create a new entry instead of updating it? So the reason is that if your primary key column has a value, then it will not create a new entry. It will update that particular entry. So initially we see that, right, the account ID was null, right? Because we don't know the account ID what it will get. It is auto increment, so it will be generated. So account ID was null, so that's the reason here this particular smart service will make a new entry into the database. Okay, but in this, after writing this database, we are getting that account ID stored in our account ID column. So right again, if you perform the same operation, it will not create it, it will update it. Okay, got it? Any confusion here, guys?
Yeah. So Ravi, can you please repeat the last statement which you have did? The account ID.
Okay, so whenever
What
we
it will,
are
it will not update. Yeah.
so we are creating this rule, right? We are forming this data get form account data. From this rule, whatever account information we are forming it, right? So
Okay.
you see this, okay, whatever account information we are forming this, we are passing this account ID as null, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so if account, if it's a primary key in our table, if this is null, then the write to data store entity smart service will create a new entry into the table. Okay, there will be a new row. But if
Okay.
we,
Because
and after doing so, what we are doing here in the output, you see this one, right? We are getting that stored value say back to the account data. So what it does, it captures the account ID from the database and store into your table, into your CDT. So now,
so
after once your process
so
will
Ravi.
complete
So
here, yeah,
yeah. So Ravi, now it is going to entry a new. I mean, new unique value ID. Yeah?
yes, it will generate a new value and it will assign to your account. And then this
Okay.
particular node, this will get that ID and it's stored into your account CDT table, account CDT variable, this one, account data variable, right? So now again, when you are hitting the same thing, if you see this one, it's the same thing, the account data stored entity and then account, this account data, it will not create a new entry. Why? Because now it has the value for account ID column. Okay,
Okay. So it will
okay,
update the value there.
it will update it. If the primary key is available, it will update. If the primary key is not available, it will create. That's the
Okay.
basic
It will
difference.
like insert simple.
Yes. Okay. Now, before saving this process model, let's talk about some of the best practice that we need to follow. Okay, for any application, we should have one. Like right now, we have two groups, right? We see this, and we have administrator and user groups. For any application, we should have one more group called alerts. LAP alert group. Okay. Um, to receive any alerts from the system, and this should be all the group by default should be the part of all users group. So I'll put into the users. Okay, now create. Now what is the use of alert group? Like suppose if anything goes wrong in your process model, right? So if you don't set the alert setting right, it will start throwing the error message to entire system administrator available within the environment. Okay, so Appian best practice suggests you should always set your alert to related to your application alert group. Not do not let it blank or default, so it can throw the message to everyone. Like suppose I am the user of some other application, you are the user of some other application, I am also system admin, you are also system admin. Something goes wrong in your application, I am also receiving the alert emails, which is not correct, right? It should not be doing that. It should be saying that alert to only associated users. Okay, now let's see one more use of that particular constant. We'll say new and then constant. I'll say LAP alert group. This constant holds the group, holds the alert group. Okay, now initially we created the constant for data store entity. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create a group for constant for group. We'll say group, and then here I need to go and select which group. We'll say LAP alert. You see this, the use of constant, we are creating many different type of constants. So we created this constant group. Okay, now the process listen it carefully because this is a very important question they ask into the interviews. So what are the best practices of a process model? The best practice, one of the best practices is that you should always set an alert to associated with your application. So we go to the alert tab. We first go to the app process model properties option. In the properties option, we have alerts, and in the alerts, we have this radio buttons. This is system default, right? So we do not use the system default. We select this custom alert setting alerts and send alerts to the recipient defined by the expression because we have created a constant. So we can go here and then put our constant. Now, what will happen if anything goes wrong? It will send the alerts only to this particular group. Now, if you go here, If you open this group, right now there is no member, so let's go and add the members. I'll say add myself. So now I'll receive the alerts. Whatever is goes wrong in this application, I will receive the alert from. I will receive the alerts from the this model to me. This is one of the best
Ravi,
practice. The second best, yeah. Okay. So this is one of the best practice, that setting the alerts to a process model. Okay. Now the second best practice is that according to your requirement, you think, right, like this process instance is required, like, for me to like 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. You should be archiving or deleting this process instance according to the requirement. So what is the difference between archive and delete? First of all, if we archive any process, so those process instance can be unarchived from the system. If we delete any process instance, then it will not be unarchived or retrieved back later. So if you think this particular process model is anyhow going to write the data to the database, I don't need to keep it long. Why? Because every process instance takes some memory in system. If you keep it active for a long time, the memory will be get utilized, right? So we should be freeing up the memory as soon as possible. So in this case, this process model is going to write the data to the database, right? And so I don't need this to be active for long. So what I can do, I can go to the properties and data management. I say delete this process instance in 1 day. After 1 day, please delete this process instance and clear my memory. So this is a second best practice, right? Now, the third best practice suggests that for any particular process model instance, you just don't give the name it. Also put some unique thing so you can easily identify in the monitor while monitoring it. So what we can do, I can say ampersand pv bank account data dot account reference. So once we do this one, so this particular instance will have this account reference in the name, right? So this is one of the best practice we talk about. So these are the best practice we have. We should be following every time. We should be creating whenever we are creating the process model. So let's go and
so
publish this
yeah,
model. So anytime you make a change, you need to publish your process model. Okay, now it any question?
Ravi, I have a question. So the second bit, the second the best practice that you mentioned, right, in the data management. So we are going to
Mhm.
delete the process model. So what is going
No,
to
we are
delete
not going to delete
exactly?
the process model. We are going
No,
to
no,
delete the process instance.
instance. Okay,
Hmm.
okay. So like how many times it has been ran, those kind of instance, it is going to delete.
Will be deleted, right? Right.
Okay, got it. No, yeah, clear, clear.
Yeah. So this process model is done. Let's go and start a new customer. Let's see how it behaves. So we'll go to our record. And we are going to, first of all, we see the customers. So right now we have like 6 customers, right? And then we'll go and create a new customer. So let's see. Okay, let's do this one as well. The reference number, right, for customers as well. Okay, for this one, let me put it like T005. The same way we have updated the reference number for accounts, right? We can do it for customers. Let's do that. First of all, I will upgrade this customer record by doing a sync, because we have directly updated the database. So we need to sync it. I'm just going to start full sync. So the update that we have performed will get affected here. Okay. So let's go to the process model for the new customer. So you guys tell me, here we are writing this customer details, right? Now I need to update the customer reference number. What I need to do? You have seen this accounts model already. We are doing it here, right? So for customers, we are only doing something like this. We are saying update get customer recipe. Okay, so what we need to do? It's very simple. It's no calculation is required. It just says append LAP 000, right? Ampersand.
So ampersand, and we have to
Obviously,
give the record
record dot customer ID,
customer ID. Okay.
right? And then where we need to store? We need to store into the record dot customer reference number, and then
Yeah.
again perform a database write, because not database will have the ID, so it will not. I'll say update.
Customer reference key.
One second. Yeah. One second. Hello. Okay, so now we need to remove this line, because first of all we'll make sure that data is getting right back to the scene. You see this one stored value, yeah, it is getting recorded, so ID will be get stored into the record CDT. So we pass this here. Please update the reference key and then update to the table as well. And from here now we'll come to this point. Okay, I mean we are updating the reference key, updating back to the table, and then we are
Yeah.
calling this account model, right?
Ravi, could you please check it out whether we have been done the update for the update customer key?
I just updated here, right? I mean, I click on the output,
Yeah, I
updated,
think
added this.
yeah, for this one is fine. I think, can you go check for the other one? Update customer key data.
Here, right? So we are,
Yeah.
it's just copy paste, right? We are passing this entity and then the same record.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, it's same data entity and same record we are writing it. See, it is as customer type. Okay, let's publish this. We have published this model now. Now we can go ahead with the customers. I'll say refresh it first of all. Okay, now let's say add customer. We need to remove this reference key, right? Because this is we are generating, so we don't need it. Come on. Okay, I'll say submit. Now let's go first. Before submitting it, I'll go to the monitor mode. Right now the instance will not trigger. Why? Because we have used the start process. Once we submit, a new instance will be generated. I'll say submit. Once I submitted, the new customer has come here. Let's go to the process model. You see this one, new customer Ranjan Sinha has been triggered. it's triggered here. It's called the account, and if you go back to the account, from here you can go back to the account. It's also completed. Now let's go back to the screen and refresh it. This also generated by default, right? And then why QIC is saying not done? Okay, done. Okay, we'll check.
Ravi, I think we have been given one extra zero. I think we have to remove one zero.
Yeah, that is fine. We can do that. And then let's go to the database and we can say refresh. So this is a customer. If I refresh, I got the another entry. And then if you go back to the account table, you see for the customer 7 also we retrieve one entry here, right? And it's auto incremented, active, saving accounts, account balance currently 0, and all those things. Okay.
But the name, but the name and everything again there we don't need to do anything. Treated
Which
by
name?
and updated by.
This will, if someone will perform any update, then by that time we can do that.
Okay, so for that it is not required to do auto generate. I mean that's the same.
Why? I
Can we
mean,
can't
right now
able
it's
to.
not updated, right? It's created. So we
Okay,
have given
okay,
created information. It's not updated.
okay,
When
okay,
someone will
okay,
update, by that time we'll update it.
okay, okay.
Okay. So this is how we create a process model. This is how we integrate the model to our one model, call another model within a process model, and then do all those things. Any
Yeah.
questions? If
So
you guys
Ravi,
have confusion, tell me. Yeah.
yes, Ravi. Now could you please change that one to that the customer now you have been added that LAP 0007. Could you please remove that one? So now again, are we going to do the update one, right? Now when you're doing the update?
No, I didn't get you. Sorry, which what is that?
No. Now I just want to understand for the reference number. Now you can see that that is LAP 0007. We have one extra zero is there. So now are we going to update the record or how we are going to do that?
So a record we will update it for that particular, but here also we need to make modification, right? So in the data process model, if there's one extra zero, so what I can do is I can just remove it.
Remove
So
one. Yeah.
for the future instances, it should not be creating it, right? So for future instances, we need to correct it in the process model level, and we
Okay.
can say save and publish. So this is done. This will make sure the future instances will have 2 zeros only, but for the current one, if something has gone wrong, I mean, if there is no update option, then we can just manually go and remove one. What we have to do is we have to go and record. We have to sync it because that's a directly database changes, right? We need to go and sync the record.
Okay.
Okay.
So like
So any
usually in the like real time also if you done I mean in the like development and when you're doing something can we do this like same approach, right? So
I mean, see, this is the development environment. You got the issue here, right? If not here, then you
correct.
will get it in the tab. So you will fix it, and then while going to the production, you will not
Hmm.
go with that particular code, right? So you don't have to do the changes. You will go with that everything, just like the way you caught it, right? There's a one extra zero. The tester will also catch it, right? Then you have to fix it. Once you will fix it, then in the while going to production, it will have the correct value, right? You don't have to in production. You don't do all this kind of stuff, right? This is already
Correct.
getting tested in dev and test.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Ravi. Yeah.
So any question in this one, process modeling? I mean, we will see more and more process model, but for now, is there any question in the process modeling designing? What we have done, and I mean, how do we created the process model? Anything? Guys, I mean, if you have any questions, please go ahead and
No,
ask.
Ravi.
You know.
No, Ravi. I
Okay.
think at least we can do the practice soon and then all I think we can ask more questions. I think I have to do some practice.
Okay.
We'll come
Okay.
back. Mostly I think we will come back on like Monday, Ravi.
Okay. Fine. So
Yeah, Ravi,
now,
practice is required, I believe. Yeah.
definitely practice is required. Not in here everywhere practice is required. Okay, so this is done.
Yeah.
We talk about like creating a customers and creating an account for it, that particular customer automatic. I mean, by the system. That is done. So this is how it works, right? When you go visit the bank and you say, I need a particular loan, and if you are not a customer there, then they say, okay, we need to open an account. So first of all, they will create your details there. So the account, I mean, bank can have your details. Okay, this is a particular customer, and then they need to also open an account, right? So this is how process works. So we created that process. Now what we need to do is like the next step. First of all, we'll see one more functionality in the record, that is called adding the relationship. The adding relationship feature is the exact um, concept of a view. In table, what is the concept of a view?
The table is nothing but it's a like a virtual table. So directly we can't able to touch the table. But there in view we can just whatever the columns is required, that one we will take and we will just have it in a view. It's a kind of virtual.
Okay. Okay. Also, we combine multiple tables to bring a set of data at one place, right? Like we can merge for, if you say, give me a view where I need to see this customer details and their account details all together. So what we will do, we will join the tables, right? We'll perform the join operation and we'll get that particular information, right?
Correct.
So view was fine. Last year, till last year, there was no concept of record relationship. So what was happening, the view for the bigger application, the view was getting more and more complex, and it was taking long time to retrieve the data sometimes, right, for some of the applications. So Appian has come up with this adding relationship feature, which almost fulfills the requirement of a view. Okay, so for like such a view which can be handled within the adding relationship, which will be very faster as compared to the querying the view and all, right? So we are going to see that add relationship how it works. So instead of two tables, joining two tables, we will be joining two records. So let's go and create a record again. So we'll say record type and we'll say account. So we are going to create a record for accounts now. This record is for, come on, LAP account, or this is, so we'll say LAP accounts. That's all. I'll say create. Security is fine. It says tell us about your data. Okay, it's from the database. Next, sync feature, yes. To add a relationship, we should be having this sync feature enabled. And then go to the search and search for the word accounts table. I guess underscore. Okay, once we get this search, it's showing your data. This is how your data is looking like. We say next, next, finish. Okay, now go to the sync option, configure the sync. At some point of time, save the changes. Now if you move, this is done. I mean, we are not using this view for a display purpose, but just for the adding relationship purpose we are doing it. So if you go to the list, edit list, you will be seeing all those entries here. Okay, we don't want to make any modification here, just let it be like this. Just click on cancel. This is done. This, the purpose of this particular record is just to pull the data from the database. No visual representation at anywhere from this particular record. Now what we will do, we will open our customer record. Okay. And then we will add the relationship. Click on add relationship. It will say which record you want to add the relationship. I want to add the relationship from LAP account. Okay, click on next. Now what kind of relationship it has? One to many, many to one, or one to one? So let's say if I can
One to
get
one,
it
right?
one to, yeah,
One to
it's
one only,
one to
right?
one. Yeah, I'm trying to say.
Customer ID to customer ID.
Yeah, no, the thing is that account ID one to one will not work here because the primary key here is the customer ID and there the primary key is the account ID.
Okay,
Okay,
okay. Uh-huh.
so it won't consider the one to one. Now let's talk about one to many. If you say one to many, the here also the primary key is the customer ID. In the account we have customer ID as a
Foreign key.
foreign key, right? So we can match this one. We'll say add. Okay, now we need to first save the changes. So once we save the changes, go back to the list, edit the list, and then add a new column. And I'll say in this new column, the name I'll say account number. Okay, display value. Now you see there's a LAP account has been added here, right? So LAP account dot account reference. Okay, that's all. Let's see here. Come on, the account numbers are now being displayed here. Okay, now if you want to display more information of the account, what else we have for the account? We have account number and the status or type, right? So let's go and create one more. This is done. Go up one level, add column. I'll say account type, and display value will be have LAP account dot account type. Okay, now one more level up and say add column and give this name as account status. In the display value we'll say LAP account dot account status. Done. Click on OK. Come on. Let's see. So, click on OK. Click on save the changes. Now go to the tempo. Go to the records
Customers.
and the customers. Now you'll see all the informations are available. Okay. So Mohan Prasad, this is the account. Ananya, this is the account. Everything is there, right?
Okay.
Got it? So this is
Why
how.
why that the account number it is showing and empty for that Soumya Sinha and Neeraj Singh? That time we have been not.
The account we have not created for these two users, right? That's why
Okay. Okay.
there is no account. So I mean, that's the reason it's not displaying it here. We created 2 users in the last session, right? But we didn't create the account details for them. It's blank.
Mm.
If you go to the table,
So yeah.
see 1, 2, 3, 4 is there, 5 and 6 are not there. So that's the reason. So if you want, we can create an account and then we say 5 and 6 there, and it will start working there. That's fine. Okay, so this is how we create the add relationship, and this is the use of adding a relationship. Any question, any doubt? Nice. And then if you want to do some filter here, it will not be showing you here because this account is belongs to some other right. What's active my filter? Yeah. All right, now few more the feature. Oh, I guess we have already seen this one, right? So we have a default downloads thing, export to Excel. If you export to the Excel, you'll get all your details to be downloaded in your Excel sheet. You don't have to write any code for this one. And we have already seen this active features, so it has all those details here. Okay, it even take the account numbers and type there as well. Okay, any doubt, guys? Any questions? If not, we can stop here because otherwise a lot of things today, and then we can moving to the new topics. So account customer details is done. Associate account is done. We have seen the record, how to use the record features to create a customer and then their account. We have seen that how to sync accounts records, any record, and we have seen that how to add the relationship between two records. Okay, so let's connect on Monday and let me know if you have any doubts, then we can proceed with the next topics. Okay.
Sure, Ravi, sure.